What is up, guys? It is Sunday, the 26th of November, and this is the Snappy-Tech podcast, episode number 21. Now, there's a bit of echo in this room, so you'll have to excuse me. However, you may be wondering why I'm in this room. That is because on Tuesday, we did a Twitch stream. If you go to twitch.tv/Snappy-Tech, all one word, you will see it. It was a 6-hour stream of myself, Emily Hester, who you may have remembered was a guest a couple of weeks ago, and the person we have with us today, the amazing Paul Stubbington. Hey, Paul.
Hello, everyone.
So, there's a couple of differences in this episode. This is the last episode before I go to Georgia, or technically, I'm already on my way to Georgia. This episode is pre-recorded and isn't live like every other episode of podcast thus far. However, there are some key benefits to this that you'll be experiencing throughout this episode. First of all, if you're watching this on YouTube, you'll notice it's in 4K instead of a regular 1080p, because we're not live streaming it, which means we can do 4K. My video looks a lot better, Paul's video looks like Paul, and the audio is better as well. I'm recording on my end as usual, but Paul is recording via Audacity on his end, and it means that we can put the audio together afterwards, and it just sounds a lot better, as well as looking better, which means although we're not live, we get a slightly higher quality podcast this week, so it's a win-win situation, I guess. However, we do have some topics to talk about, and this will very much be like a regular episode of a Snappy-Tech podcast where we'll just go with the flow of a conversation and, have some fun. This will probably be a more conversive episode than usual, because it is just myself and Paul, and we tend to get lost in conversation when we're talking. It's just, Paul is just so dreamy, guys. So we're going to start.
If you listened to the podcast last week, apparently I am.
Oh man! So we're gonna start off with the Oneplus 5T. It was unveiled last week. It's not a very exciting device, but the longer it's been out and the more I've been thinking about it, the more impressive it becomes. So the reviews released this week, they've all been generally good. There haven't been many bad things to say about the phone. It's £449 for the cheap version, $500 for the expensive version. The difference being you get 6GB or 8GB of RAM and 64 or 128GB of storage. Otherwise, they are exactly the same, which is a good start. On top of that, you then get the massive display now. They've gone full bezel. So instead of having the what basically looked like an iPhone 8 or 7, but with like a flattened home button, it now goes slightly more edge to edge, which is nice. The only issue of that being that the home button is now on the back. However, they didn't do a Samsung and they put it in the right position. So I spoke with Benjamin Abawaji, said his name.
And you got it right.
And I got it right, look at me go. So I spoke with him a couple of podcasts ago about the OnePlus 5T, and we were both not very excited about the phone. Now, considering the price at £450 for the low-end version, it's still not an exciting phone, but it is a compelling phone in the sense that it makes sense to buy, as opposed to doing something amazing. It has flagship specs at literally half the price of the Note 8. It's crazy, right? Come on, it's not just me thinking that.
Yeah, I said before the starting of recording about this is the same price as the last time, right?
Yeah.
I was pretty sure it was, but sort of having to double check. But of course, because a few times they've knocked it up slightly, but this time they've kept it the same price, and it is just so compelling. And they're just carrying on doing what OnePlus do and giving us a flagship phone at a below flagship price. And I'm just can't believe that they've not put it up whatsoever this time. It makes it, as you say, all the more compelling to buy.
I think part of this is a response to criticism, right? The difference between the 3 and the 3T was minimal, but they bumped up the price between those. And I think that was what triggered it. And the OnePlus 5T is a really good phone. I'm kind of tired with the T variant because that's the second time they've done it in 2 years, and it means they've been releasing a phone every 6 months. And that to me just feels too frequent. They're doing they're doing something that just doesn't make sense from a consumer standpoint. If I was to buy one of their phones and then 6 months later they've released another new phone, then I kind of feel cheated.
Yeah. See, I would like it if they were sending us the phones because it means we get them all the more regular.
Well, duh. Yeah, OnePlus. If you ever need a review on Snappy-Tech, send a phone my way. I'll give you my Georgian address.
Well, considering you're in Georgia and it'd probably be cheaper for them to send it here, I'll happily review.
No. It's cheaper in Georgia because they send it from the Chinese warehouse.
No, it's cheaper in England. Trust me, you'll have to send it to my address, which I will happily offer you if it means you sending me free ship.
Oh man, but yeah, the display is 2160 by 1080, so it's about 18 by 9, made by Samsung, so it's an AMOLED, and then outside of that, it's basically a generic, flagship device. It's got a Snapdragon 835, 6 or 8 gigabytes of RAM, the massive display, runs Android Nougat. However, Android Oreo has been promised for early next year, with the first beta by the end of the year. I think this is something that's actually worth discussing now that I think about it. Android Oreo is such a big change, not due to like the surface, but under the surface it's a massive change. With Project Treble allowing manufacturers to basically make their OS a separate module to Android itself. Right, and that implementation takes such a long time that we're seeing devices that should ship with Android Oreo because they're coming out in this time frame, not shipping with Android Oreo. And I think in this one situation, in this one instance, it makes sense. And hopefully, what that will mean is going forward, we will have quicker updates. The other great thing is we also get, and this is on XDA this week, it also means we get stock Android on every device like the next day. Making ROMs has become infinitely easier. Huawei and Honor, their Oreo devices support Project Treble, and it means that literally the day after the Honor 9 got Android Oreo, they got it running stock Android. And a Huawei phone running stock Android, to me, sounds amazing. Like, that is the combination I need, because as much as, what's it called? MIUI, something like that. As much as that's gotten better, it's just no. Like, I've got my OnePlus One running stock Android right now. Stock Android Oreo, and it runs so well.
Yeah, of course, I used stock Android for 2 years, having had the Nexus 6P, and I do like having stock Android. It is so much nicer to use. Though I do like some of the extra features that you get with the overlays. However, in some cases, like Samsung's TouchWiz.
TouchWiz.
Yeah.
TouchWiz is what used to be called. It's now called the Samsung Experience.
It can be called TouchWiz in my.
Oh yeah, no, I still call it TouchWiz.
So parts of it are nice. However, it's a very thick skin, so having that option is lovely, and
it's interesting because I keep going back to the Android Oreo on the OnePlus One. Like, it's not that the device is faster, it's that it feels smoother because there's less on the top, right? When I'm like playing a heavy game, like you can tell it's not as powerful. But like just going through day-to-day use through the OS feels so much smoother in the OnePlus One, which is crazy to me because it's like 4 years old.
It may also be because it doesn't have a cracked screen. That might help the smoothness.
That's nothing to do with it. No, because it felt less smooth before.
Actually, that had the cracked screen before anyway.
Oh, and that too, yeah.
Sorry, I had to remind people you're an idiot.
No, yeah, I was waiting for you to make a cracked screen joke. I was like, there's going to be one at some point.
Sorry, it was really funny. I really hope it cracks them up.
That was just bad. That wasn't even That wasn't even one of those bad jokes where you're like, oh, I kind of get the funny part there. It was just bad.
Well, no, they get the funny part. They just probably won't laugh at it.
Oh, just a heads up. If you're watching this and wondering why I keep reaching to my right behind this curtain, it's because it's where my mouse is right now. So every time I do this, it's because I'm controlling the screen. And then I've got my keyboard on my lap right now being balanced. This isn't exactly the most ergonomic of setups, if I'm being honest. Outside of that, the OnePlus 5T, however, has a 3300 milliamp hour battery. Not the biggest, not the smallest. It's a decent size. Dash charging, which is still ridiculously fast. And my personal favourite, 2 rear cameras, which kind of confuses me because they're both the same, but they're not. So they're both the same focal length. So instead of doing what LG does, which is 1 normal, 1 ultra wide, or what Samsung does, which is 1 normal, 1 zoom, they've done 1 normal, 1 normal.
But they've been set up slightly differently.
Yeah, so but here's the weird thing, right? So their software setup is different. And their hardware setup is also technically different, right? So there's one which is 16 megapixels, which is the main camera, and has a slightly smaller aperture at f1.7. And then there's the 20 megapixel camera, which is f1.6, so a slightly larger aperture to allow in more light. However, the pixels are smaller, right? Because it's 20 megapixels in the same amount of space instead of 16. So each pixel is probably getting about the same amount of light, if not slightly less. So it actually works out to being basically the same.
Having said that, I'm guessing OnePlus have thought this through.
I hope so. I really hope they have, because it kind of sounds like they haven't, I'll be honest.
Yeah, it does seem like something that is quite obvious, and you would hope they've realised that, and there's actually reason behind it. That they've probably just done it to increase the picture quality in the low light. That there is probably good reason for it. Frankly, I'm not a camera engineer, so I can't really pull them up on it. But you'd hope it's not as bad as it sounds. It just sounds like completely just stupid.
It sounds ridiculous. Yeah, it's really weird. I'm not sure why they've done it. I'm trying to see their DxO Mark rated, because they touted working together with DxO Mark. However,
most people do now.
Yeah.
Apart from
However, I
Razer.
can't seem to find a rating. Oh, hang on. That's OnePlus 5. I can't see anything with OnePlus 5T. Oh, and also, actually, what I will say is they tweeted out yesterday, I believe it was, or was it let me just find out. It was a forum post that was, let me share it with the audience here. So this is a forum post. I should mention I'm working with one display right now. So if you see me go into OBS to come in and out of it, it's because I'm usually on 2 displays and I'm working off one, this massive 4K television that's right behind the camera. So they're saying Carl Pei, co-founder of OnePlus, said that they're listening to feedback and they're looking for to make a bunch of rollouts for camera improvements in December, which surprisingly is also saying that Razer said like a week ago, Min Liang Tan saying exactly the same thing almost exactly a week ago. It's a real normal statement to make. It is, however, the best-selling OnePlus phone of all time, so congrats to them. The other thing I wanted to point out was this is what it looks like. It's full display. It's great. Look at those dual cameras on the back. They look basically the same. Like it's a really bizarre addition to make, in my opinion at least. However, it's the hand we've been dealt, and it's again for 450 quid. It comes with a headphone jack. So how do you say no to that? Like, let's be real here. Can you say no to that? Because I can't.
I could. However, I'd be an idiot.
Right? And you're already an idiot, so you probably could.
Shit.
Oh man. They've also fixed the jelly scrolling. So
that sounds like a really good dessert, to be honest.
So the reason it's not, unfortunately, the issue was that they put in the screen upside down on the OnePlus 5. It was literally upside down.
Yeah.
And it meant that when you scrolled, like things would like squish and then like unsquish. So yeah, this year it's been mounted the right way around again. Congrats to them. And then the other great thing that I was going to say is it's got a 16 megapixel selfie camera as well, which is great if you ever need that Snapchat. Hit me up, OnePlus. I need some help with my Snapchat video. Would be greatly appreciated. It doesn't have wireless charging. Not surprising considering it's got a full metal build. Has the switch for like muting it and putting it into normal. But the navigation buttons are slightly closer together, which is a bit wrong. But yeah, outside of that, it's basically the same.
I would certainly miss my my wireless charging from it.
That's definitely.
It doesn't have an IP rating, right?
It doesn't. However, they do
say it's quite good, don't they?
It's not IP rated, and the reason is getting an IP rating is actually quite expensive. It's one hell of a process. So OnePlus is saying it's not IP rated, but it is the equivalent of IP67. They just can't. Okay. They just can't say it's IP67.
Yeah. Not everyone has Samsung level.
The OnePlus 5 had a very similar situation, where they were like, "This phone is actually really waterproof if you spill water on it." But OnePlus can't say it is because that's then they need to basically pay for it. In essence.
It also means though, if you do actually drop it into water by accident, it's a case of, well, that's your stupid fault. We've not got any official certification to say that. Whereas like with Samsung, you say, look, I put it in water and it died straight away. You say you can do that, so replace it, kind of situation.
They don't have to though. That's the thing. So sorry if you're watching this. I just adjusted my webcam.
I think
they don't even remotely. First of all, water damage isn't covered under warranty. Second of all, IP rating is actually a very fluid. Get it? Because it's water certification. It's a very fluid situation in the sense that just because it's IP67 rated when you bought it, 2 years from now it might not still be IP67, right? It might, the glue might harden and crack, or something might happen. That certification isn't a guarantee; it's a guideline. And the company that deals the certifications also says this. They say they make it very clear that just because it's IP67 rated now doesn't mean it will be in 2 years' time or even 6 months' time. It can very quickly, you get a slight crack on your phone and all of a sudden it's lost its rating.
Mm. However, they do bits of cover for it depending on when you do it.
I think water damage is excluded from all warranty.
No, because I can't remember who was it that did it. I knew someone that did actually was stupid enough to test their phone, and
I did that when I first got my S7 Edge.
It actually failed, and they were kind of like, yeah, you've only had this for I think because at this point it was still within the first month or something, so they actually I can't remember if they replaced it.
I was going to say that might have been part of a returns policy then.
Yeah,
within the first month.
Yeah, I think it because it was within the first month. They kind of
had no choice.
Though still with the first month policy, it does come under is kind of the warranty-esque thing. It is still water damage you're returning it for.
Yeah.
So. And I know there's going to be people trying to do that with the OnePlus, and they won't have any cover for it.
I'm going to move my webcam slightly closer to me. Let me just... I love how this is saying, oh, that might be a bit too close, but you'll have to live with it. I love how this is just a feature of a podcast now. Webcam adjustments with George. If I do that. The issue is I want to get like the... Oh, nope. Now you can see how messy the house is. Let's get a bit more of a curtain in. Move the table over. Oh, look at this. That's better. Kind of. Now you can't see my face though.
That's great.
That's much better. There we are. That's what we were going for.
Oh, was it?
So, I don't know. It might have been. I hope it was. If I do that... Ooh. Now you can barely see the mic. No, now I have to like lean towards it. Let's do this. That's fine. Okay. This is the only podcast where adjusting the microphone and camera are part of the podcast. Fun fact. I could edit this out, but I probably won't because I'm too lazy. And because I'm on a flight in under 24 hours. So I'm just busy. I can't help it.
You could.
I could,
but
I you know what? No. It's going to be like an hour of 4K video that has to be re-rendered because I'm going to be adjusting the audio on this. So you know what? I'm just going to leave it. It'll be fine, mostly, unless there's something really horrible. It would just
You're
be...
really horrible.
That is a fact. Correct. So, let's
What am I doing?
let's move on.
I'm just slowly scrolling through Facebook while you was doing that, and I've just come across... you know how you just get random like foods, like how to cook this kind of thing. There was like a pizza burger or something like that.
What?
It looks so appetizing.
Does it though? Does it really?
Wait, yes it does. Okay, this is now part of the podcast.
I guess so. You're gonna have to Facebook it over to me.
Yep.
I can't believe we're actually doing this.
Oh,
that doesn't look good at all. I'll be honest.
It just does.
It doesn't though. Oh, hang on. Let me mute it. No, shut up. I need to mute it. Hang on.
But it just looks like such a like filling pizza. It's just
it doesn't though.
It looks lovely. Stop lying to yourself, really, George.
Oh my god, no.
Stop lying to yourself.
Okay, bacon. That's all right. I can deal with the bacon part.
Yeah, you've got the bacon, you've got the burger, you've got the cheese. Pepperoni's a bit.
What is happening? Well, ooh, don't want pickles in my pizza, or mustard.
Yeah, it's more that like the thing is that's their choice of stuff. I wouldn't choose to put the pickles and stuff like that. However, I would love like the burger meat, the cheese, the bacon.
No. Nobody wants this.
I'm making this for you before you go away to Georgia now. Or that
I'm shipping tomorrow.
Yeah, I can't be asked.
So unless you're making it tonight,
so, I'm gonna get it shipped over to you for Christmas.
Oh God, please don't.
You're just gonna open it up, and it's gonna really reassure your hatred for it.
Oh no! Oh, that is horrible. You are a bad man.
That sounds like the start of a porno, frankly.
No, it's from a movie. I forget which movie, but it's from a movie.
I don't know.
I can't remember which one though. So let's on the subject of Facebook. I guess that's a good segue into Facebook.
See, I knew
removing the ability to delete. Hang on, let me just removing the ability to delete Facebook posts. There was a bug at some point this week, roughly 6 days ago actually. It's the last Sunday. Because we're recording this the day before. I'm not sure if I mentioned that. I said we're recording it, but it's the day prior because I fly out 5 p.m. on Sunday. So, so Facebook accidentally removed the ability to delete Facebook posts. It was a bug. It was an accident. People thought that Facebook were rolling out the ability or the inability to delete Facebook posts. People thought that Facebook was going to make your posts permanent forever. So I have a couple of questions for you. First of all, if Facebook posts were permanent forever, how screwed are you? And second of all, why would they have done it? Why would that have been an option? Who would have sat there and gone, let's make this happen?
So, firstly, I don't post on Facebook. At most, I share a post. and even then I don't tend to do it. I just like other people's posts because Twitter is better, frankly.
Ooh, shade.
I prefer posting on Twitter, and luckily they don't accidentally forget to add delete.
No, but they do. They never added an edit though.
Yeah, that is an upside of Facebook. But no one would think that's a good idea. At most, it would be like an April Fool's thing, where it'd just be active for April Fool's Day. And so many people would be screwed for that day. Oh, man.
That'd be great. That would be the best April Fool. Because I guarantee you, there's like that one person who posts, "I'm pregnant, April Fools," but like they don't put the April Fools in, right? And then,
yes.
And then what ends up happening is like they go to like they need to get rid of edit as well, so you can't edit or delete, right? Because then they go to like hit edit to write April Fools on at the end and they can't. So then they go to delete it and they can't do that either. And so there's like families being like, "Oh my god, you're pregnant."
Well,
that's what we need.
There also needs to be a limit to how much you can post within like a 5-minute period, because otherwise, like as soon as you realise. But no, like you can only post like once in like 5 minutes or something like that. So like when they realise and go to be like post another one, being like, "No, that was a typo. I was meant to say I'm pregnant, April Fools." So like they can't do that.
Yeah, maybe.
We should work for Facebook and Twitter.
Out. Oh, we totally should. Shouldn't
we should be freelancers.
There's a huge misconception though, which is that
we have good ideas.
No, that too, but not specifically in this situation. But we have freedom over freedom to delete what we put on the internet, right? Is that the best way to phrase it? Like, you know, when we put something on Facebook or Twitter or YouTube or whatever, there's a delete button, and everyone is sort of under the assumption that when you click that delete button, it is deleted. It's gone forever. The matter of fact is that's just not true, right? When you delete something, what Facebook does is they probably have a database somewhere, and one of the columns in the database is deleted, ? And that's a 1 or a 0. So if you delete it, what actually happens is they just change that. You okay there?
Quick finish before I
die. Might just wait for you to die, I'll be honest.
That can be the finale.
That's it. That's the end of the podcast forever. Paul died. The podcast died with him. It was one hell of a tribute. But
I think it's more of a case of if we had that on the podcast, YouTube would probably block your IP forever.
No, not a chance. You'd be surprised. You can actually. That's something we need to talk about at some point as well. But we can circle around to that. But yeah, it's this idea that, you know, what actually happens is they just like write a 1 or a 0 in that column, and if it's a 0, then the post is there, and if it's a 1, you deleted it and it's gone forever on Facebook, but they've still got it on their servers.
Yeah, it's either that or they just add like an asterisk in front of it, or hash.
Yeah, it'll be something. Yeah,
it'll be something like, cause in coding, if you add a hash at the start of the line, it means that's just a comment. Yeah. So it wouldn't actually show up. So they might have a system along those lines. So yeah,
it'll be something like that. So and the way they can prove it, I'm not sure if it still does it now, but there used to be a period of time back when Facebook was still young, where if you deleted a post but had the link to the post, right, that URL would still work for about a week after you deleted the post. You know, you couldn't do anything with it. It was like, but you could see it, right?
Mm.
And if you like went on to like delete it again, it would say already deleted, and you'd be like, wait a second, something's wrong here. But yeah, Facebook posts, let's be honest, are never being deleted. The ability to delete Facebook posts was accidentally hidden by some people, for some people, because it was a bug. However, it's no longer there. You can delete posts. All is well. If you can't do it via your computer, you can do it on mobile. You can do it through your smart TV. You will be fine.
Does anyone actually use the browser on their smart TV more than
I
just
do.
to like show it off randomly? Just...
I use it to navigate to like not. Oh, hang on.
Bless you.
Thank you. I use it to navigate to websites. Like I use Reddit through my TV quite a bit because I then use it to redirect to websites through Reddit. So I go from Reddit to /r/soccer streams, and I totally legally because I already have a Sky subscription. However, I don't have access to it because reasons. This sounds legitimate.
I just
Please
use
don't
my dad's Sky.
Sky, just don't sue me. I'd highly appreciate it. So, and then through that, I then watch it on the TV, basically, which is the only reason I use that.
Yeah, I just use my dad's Sky login.
Yeah, we don't have proper TV in this house. We just use Freeview, because there's nothing on premium TV apart from the Russell Howard Hour. Like lately, there's nothing on Sky or Virgin Media that I really want to watch.
And Netflix is basically...
Yeah, and Netflix has basically everything else. The Russell Howard Hour, however, although it's on Sky One, is also on YouTube. It's banned in the UK. However, I was in Georgia last week and I caught up.
Oh yeah, I forget. Yeah, so you have the downsides of in Georgia you can't get things like iPlayer because that's only free for there, but you can get basically everything on iPlayer elsewhere in the world just on YouTube.
It's not that's literally it. Like they are uploading full episodes of like Waterloo Road, for example.
Yeah, I actually noticed that.
That is
in
great.
Full quality as well.
Like, yeah. Me and my sister was sat down like watching Waterloo Road together.
Yeah, I was actually, when I noticed they were doing that, I was kind of like, I've not watched, like, I actually did re-watch it at one point, but I was like, I've not seen this in a few years now, since basically shortly after it went off air.
Yeah.
So I was like, actually, you know what? Let's download this.
That show was one of my guilty pleasures. Like,
yeah.
It was like one of those shows you watch, but you don't really want people knowing you watch.
Yeah, no, it's one of those shows where you're kind of like, why the fuck am I enjoying this? Yet you can't help but go back and watch it. Yeah.
I think I follow a couple of the people on like Instagram as well.
I think I follow... Actually, no, I used to follow one of them who was in like the Scottish season, like the last one there.
Yeah.
Because like most of the people there... or that did Waterloo Road are either ended up in another soap or just doing nothing. Like Dante and stuff is now in, I think, Dante's in Emmerdale, I think I noticed the other day.
Oh,
my mum was watching it.
I love me some Emmerdale.
Yeah, I love all of the other soaps too. They're so... no, they're just shit.
Like, the only reason I ever watched Waterloo Road is because I'd be watching it and I'd be like, well, at least my school isn't like this.
Yeah. I think the only reason I watched Waterloo Road is because it wasn't as like bullshit as the other one, or the other soaps that are on TV. Because most of the soaps have been running for like 30 years at this point.
Yeah, there's a lot of catching up to do at this point.
Yeah, so a lot of them are kind of like they bring in an old character and it's kind of like, okay, so I have no idea who you are. But most of it is they've been on TV for so long, all of their things are redone. Basically,
all their plot lines are rehashed.
Everyone's fucking someone and or killed someone. It's just it pisses me off so much. At least Waterloo Road, they never really reused stuff badly.
They were around for what, like 12 seasons or something, or 8 seasons?
10.
Oh wow, that was right in the middle of my two guesses. Look at me go.
I actually knew
on
those.
On average, I was right. So I'll just have you know, you're right. It is 10.
Yeah.
Oh, I remember what it is. It's because they were like split into 3 parters. Because they were like split into terms.
Yeah. Well, usually it was in some seasons. It was in 2 parts. Some season in 3. I think one season was in 3 or something.
Because that's what I remember it being like in parts. Being really confused.
Yeah. Oh man. Okay, so I need to add Waterloo Road to my watch list now.
Yep.
Damn it.
But yeah, the average viewership dropped by 1 million over the course of 10 seasons, which isn't that bad, to be fair.
Yeah, what were they getting in the first place, though?
From 4.6 to 3.6.
4.6. That's still pretty good.
I think the issue is they peaked around season 7. So season 7 got 5.1.
And then they decided to move.
And then they decided to move. So it went from 5.1 to 4.4 to 4.1 to 3.6. So they dropped 1.5 million viewers over 4 seasons. So I assume at that point they just decided it wasn't worth it anymore. And this is no longer a technology podcast. I hate to break it to you.
They had some technology in the show.
We talked about tech at some point.
Well, they had technology in Waterloo Road. They had like an IT suite. We can talk about that.
Oh, I remember the reason I wanted to talk about this though, because I wanted to mention. I've forgotten his name. Wait, I'll see it in a second.
Bob.
They had the guy who played in the Sarah Jane Adventures.
Yeah. I think the guy's name, but yeah, I know who you mean.
And that guy, and so I'm not sure what he's doing now.
Fuck all like the rest of them.
I don't think so, because I think I've seen him somewhere. Let me get his name, we'll find out. Tommy Knight, that's the one. He was in some BBC show as well. And he was in Victoria as well, that's what I remembered him being in.
Oh, okay.
So he was in Victoria, which came out in 2016. Let's take a look at his filmography. He was in Victoria. He was in Doctors, apparently.
Yeah, most of them.
He was in Waterloo Road, obviously. But yeah, so because I remember first seeing him on Waterloo Road, 2012. Bloody hell!
I forgot. Angus Dayton was in it.
Who's that?
He's the guy who he hosted the first couple of seasons of Would I Lie to You?
Oh yeah. No, I got him. I don't know his name, but I know the guy. Yeah.
Yeah,
he was great. He wasn't great. He was.
He used to work with Brian Atkinson.
I mean. Yeah, he was a bit of a dick, but he was great.
Most of them are.
He had the Chinese girlfriend, who Tommy Knight's character made out with. I remember this because they
Oh yeah, I remember now.
Wow, we've really strayed from tech here. let me rein us back in at least a little bit.
So guys, the gossip hits.
I don't know how we went from Facebook to Sarah Jane Adventures and Waterloo Road. However, what I will say is, in good news, broadband firms have been told to ditch misleading speed ads in the UK. So ISPs tend to say you can get up to 38 megabits per second or up to 52 megabits per second. Now, the way this works currently is up to is whatever the top 10% of customers actually receive. So if the top 10% get 52 megabits, then they can write up to 52 megabits. In future, that will be changed. It will have to be what at least half of customers get at peak times. So the internet speed is realistically what's the slowest it will be, as opposed to, if you're really dreaming, what's the fastest it will be. The Advertising Standards Authority looked into it and said basically that using up to was extremely misleading, which I tend to agree with. We're actually right on the end of our line. Our internet line runs down the street to us, so we're the last node. So we get the slowest internet along the street. Luckily for us, it's not that much of a difference. It's we get 320 instead of 350, you're saying, at that end. So that's not too big an issue. But it just shows it'll be a clearer way of making sure that ISPs aren't fudging the numbers a little.
Yeah, I think one at this point who actually trusts those numbers anyway.
Oh yeah, that too, right?
However, I know it's hard for them to actually give you a good estimate of what speeds you're actually going to get. without actually going to the house and testing it there. However, it will help people figure out a bit more. Because at the moment it's just you have no idea what speed you're going to get until you get them.
This is also a line speed thing, right? So this is how quick the line will be. Not necessarily like, my connection in my house, because that's fair enough, right? Because if, even for me, if I'm upstairs, my internet connection is slightly slower than if I'm here right now, because my PC is just Ethernet cabled into the router. So that's, that's understandable. It's the speed that is going into the home as opposed to the speed that someone on a device would get, which makes sense to me in this context.
Yeah, I think to say what speed you're going to get in the house is a bit unfair. I cable in, so I get basically the speed we get into the house, which is very useful. Though one thing I would actually like to note something, because I have been looking at internet previously, because of the fact that I'm moving soon, hopefully. So
do you have a moving date yet?
And still no.
Hey.
So one of the things
I'm going to be moving to Georgia before you move to like down the road,
basically, or practically down the road compared to Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
But one thing I've noticed with PlusNet, at least, they actually offer a minimum guaranteed line speed. Which they, if you look into it, it says about this is based on where you are, where the house is, where the box is in comparison to the house, and a bunch of data that BT have that allows them to calculate it.
Yeah.
And it used to be 44. I've just looked; it's now 40, apparently. But they have already changed it to. You can get estimated download speed of 48 to 68 on the maximum package. So now they're actually giving you a general guideline figure rather than just a random hopeful figure.
What I found interesting was Andrew Ferguson, the editor of Think Broadband, went to the trouble, and thank you, Andrew, for doing this, went to the trouble of calculating roughly where the ballpark would be when they change the up to what people actually get.
Yeah.
So the 38 megabit per second, which I believe is Sky's speed, if I'm not mistaken, will drop from 38 to somewhere between 24 and 30. And then services that are about 76, which I think is one of Virgin Media's, will drop to between 45 and 55. And the one that really gets me is the ones that are advertised at up to 17 megabit per second. Will be dropped, or could drop, as far as 6 megabits per second under the new rules.
It's just I know they have different speeds depending on what you're paying for, but that, like, some of these speeds you're paying for the same line that people paying for higher speeds are paying for.
Yeah, no, without a doubt.
Like the fact that they can be so much lower. Like, if you're paying for 36, but there is a tariff for 76, and people are getting over 36, you shouldn't be expected to drop down to, like, what was the 36 figure? Was it 20-ish?
24 to 30.
Okay. So you shouldn't be expected to drop as low as 24. Like, 2/3 the up to speed. It's a bit...
Yeah.
Yeah. Not fun.
No, it's definitely been a matter of trying to make the internet seem as quick as possible, as opposed to actually making the network faster. Luckily, we have it better than the US, though, and I'm going to now lead into a topic that Paul didn't really want to talk about, which is the FCC and net neutrality. You're welcome, Paul.
Okay, where's the hang up button? Hang up. Okay. Actually, shall I just start messing up my recording?
Oh, don't do that. That'd be a real pain.
Okay, is there a warp sound feature?
I think there actually is, but not until after you've recorded it, like after you stop recording. But yeah, so net neutrality, that was a thing that happened this week. It was a big talking point. It was all over Reddit on Wednesday, I believe. Was it Wednesday? Might have been Thursday. I can't recall, I'll be honest. However, so I actually chimed in on this, and if you were looking at the Snappy-Tech YouTube channel, you would have noticed. Because let me just double check when this was.
This week.
It was this week, yes. It's a couple of days ago.
Yeah, so I'm not wrong, am I? So
where is this? I can't find it. Oh, it might have just been on Snappy-Tech.
Oh, was it?
I can't find it. Oh, here it is. 2 days ago. So I tweeted it on the 22nd, which was actually 3 days ago. So on Wednesday, if you went to the Snappy-Tech channel, you'd have noticed there was a lack of videos. There was precisely one. It's a video I'm quite proud of, personally. I think it's a good video. I quite like it. It's called Net Neutrality Sucks, except it doesn't. And I feel like I did a halfway decent job of explaining the situation, or at least I hope I did. I did link to materials, which meant that if you felt like I didn't explain it very well, you could find
materials.
Yeah,
materials like this.
Yeah.
Or this.
So, you know, I tried, I guess. And that was a really bad pun. Never make a joke ever again. But yeah, so it was a video I felt it was the video I felt was necessary to make. Let me just pull it up here. Ta-da! Here it is. Look, let me mute it. Look, I'm talking. And then there's there were like a couple of moments in this where I was like, oh, look at me go. Like wait for it, hang on. So I'm more of a fake with Paul. If you want the link, if you go to my Twitter, to the Snappy-Tech Twitter, it's like the second last tweet. I can't find the bit. There's like a bit where I'm talking about like degraded quality, and I drop the bit rate, the resolution to like 360p or 240p or something. And when I talk about internet speeds, and I buffer video, which I also put on my Snapchat. Actually, I'm not sure if you saw my Snapchat.
No one has ever.
I mean, I was talking to you specifically, Paul. So.
No, I don't know. I probably did. I probably spammed for it, to be honest.
I had this on my. Ooh, nope. That's not the button I meant to click. Nor's that one. Let's fix this. That's better. So I put this on my Snapchat this week, and nice little loading pixelation thing, you know, as you do. I do not look best pleased in that video, as you would expect, because net neutrality is a serious issue. The FCC, you know what? I've ranted about net neutrality so much at this point, but I don't know what to say that I haven't already said. Like, it's that level of like just fed up at this point. Like it's something that should be talked about and is definitely worth talking about, obviously. Less for us because we're in the UK and we're not affected by it.
See,
however,
when did the net neutrality laws come into place? Because they've not been around for that long, have they?
So they came about in 2015 under Obama.
Because I do when you said about the net neutrality subject, I was like, okay, I know a bunch, but I need to go and look at some more. And I actually saw the whatchamacallit video, Tech Quickie video.
Yes, that was a good
which
video
was
as well.
talking about you probably remember about the problem with, I think it was Comcast and Netflix.
Oh yes, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, where Comcast were like, well, you guys are taking up so much of our customers' bandwidth, like by quite some way. Because I mean, like 1080p videos being streamed to thousands and thousands of people takes up a lot of bandwidth. So and eventually,
no YouTube.
But eventually, Netflix had to pay out to Comcast a sum of money. I don't know whether it was released. I can't remember.
I don't think it was.
But it's situations like that where it's kind of like, yeah, they're using up a lot of your bandwidth, but as Netflix argued, your customers are paying for their bandwidth. Whatever they choose to do with it should be their choice. They're paying for both of these services. They should be allowed to use it without you deciding to throttle it. And it's things like that which is the problem with not having it about. There's probably some benefits to not having net neutrality. However, if people want to start charging big companies like Netflix thousands, millions, or whatever, because they are pushing a bunch more packets through their services, then that cost is going to end up coming back to us as the user.
And they can do it both ways, right? That's the issue. They can either charge Netflix, or they can say for $4.99 you get the social media bundle, where you get Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, or maybe not even YouTube actually, probably because that uses up too much bandwidth. And then for another $5.99 or $7.99, will then like there'll be like bundles, like how you get channels on your TV, right?
Yeah.
There'll be like an extra $4.99 per month for Facebook, and an extra $5.99 per month for YouTube, and an extra $10.99 per month for Netflix. And that's the issue we're looking at.
Yeah, to be honest, I think the problem is because someone mentioned that in America, why has Bixby just randomly started listening to me?
Because it's American.
For fuck's sake,
not
Bixby.
American.
Are you against net neutrality too? Don't say anything.
Oh, I haven't asked my Google Assistant what its opinion on net neutrality is. That's a good question.
But in America, there are a lot of areas where you don't have the option to change.
That's the biggest issue, yeah.
Yeah.
Most people somehow only have one provider in the US.
Yeah, in the UK, we have basically... Well, we have loads of providers. They're just mostly on the same network, except for Virgin Media, who have...
Yeah.
Of course. But, so it means, though, if they did want to do something like that, they could get away with it from forcing customers into it. However, I don't think they would try to do that. I think what they would either do is charge the companies that are causing the high traffic, which would end up charging us more anyway. But I think more likely they would probably go down the route of adding things like, if you want to get constant high download, streaming, whatever going, then you're going to have to pay for a higher package where you can get either going from a data cap to no data cap, or having to pay for higher constant speeds, whatever. There'll be some sort of throttling where you have to pay for them to stop the throttling, kind of thing.
And not only that, but if Comcast comes out with a TV show that's supposed to compete against something that Netflix has, they just stop access to Netflix, right? They slow it down, they make it not worth watching, they make it more of a pain than it has to be, and then everyone will go watch their show instead. And also, I want to see what happens when I do this. Let's find out. So I've got my S7 Edge here, which actually, because it's so small on my podcast, it looks uncracked because you can't see the cracks, and the background image I have right now really hides the cracks quite well. There's that one cluster in the left hand side of the screen that you can see, but outside of that you can't actually see any of the cracks. So let's find out what happens if I go, okay Google, what's your opinion on net neutrality?
I'm not sure.
Oh, that was disappointing.
Wait, let me ask.
Is
Alexa.
net neutrality good?
Here's a summary from Advertising Age. The end of net neutrality could be good for marketers and bad for almost everyone else. The federal agency wants to vote to repeal the current net neutrality rules, which were enacted to ensure that Americans would have equal access to the internet.
Okay, so I'm going to ask Alexa the same thing. Let me turn it up a bit. What do you think of net neutrality?
Sorry, I'm not sure.
Alexa, is net neutrality good?
Sorry, I'm not sure.
Well, that sucks.
Apparently net neutrality already exists for Alexa.
For $4.99 I can give you the answer to that question.
But I think, of course, it's not going to affect us, except for maybe in 5 years' time, where the UK might start to think, "Oh, we could do the same," like they do with so many things.
So the issue is we're okay for now, because even if the UK wanted to, they can't because of the EU.
Yeah.
So EU law states that is the reason we have net neutrality in the UK basically, or in Europe in general. However, once we leave the EU, you never know what might happen. And yeah, it's just it's a really good thing that it's so obvious that the only people against net neutrality are people who have money to make from it.
Yeah.
Right.
That's the problem with some of the people they've got in power in the US as well. Now Trump is in power, and some of the people he's brought in with him are basically business buddies, almost in some cases. So it means that there are a few more laws to be put forward that are in the advantage of businesses. And the problem is, when they're putting these forward, they come up with all these great reasons for it
that are actually really hollow.
Yeah,
that only benefit rich people.
Yeah, usually, I mean, there's usually some good reasons for things, but they're usually a bit overplayed from their hand of things, and forgetting that if there's this much amazing reasons for taking the law away, there's like this much and growing and growing.
Just in case you're listening, he had like the slightest amount for good reasons, and then his arms were like outside of the screen of the capture area for bad reasons. Just in case you're listening.
I think I might actually have to move. I might need to find a tape measure, go to the opposite side of the room.
Yeah, just across the room. Yeah, there are good reasons. However, they're only for the ISPs and the people who stand to make money from the lack of net neutrality, not for consumers and most regular people.
Yeah.
And on the subject of things that make money and aren't good for regular people, let's talk about loot boxes. This will be our final topic for this week, I think.
I have a sponsor spot, by the way, at the end.
Oh, do you really?
Yeah.
Oh, do you want to do it now? Or do you want to do it at the end?
No, we can do it at the end.
Okay. What I will say is we're about to hit the 1 hour mark. So this is going to be a relatively short episode. I have stuff I haven't actually packed yet, I'll be honest. I still have some shopping to do.
You were so unprepared.
Oh, yeah. I'm so not prepared. So I've got a bunch of stuff to do. So we're not going to run it too far past an hour. Loot boxes.
Might need a bit more information on that.
What's your opinion on them?
I've never had them, but they're kind of cool. Frankly, I'd probably never get them, but
no, they're not. Loot boxes are horrible. Not as in Loot Crate. I think that's what you're thinking of, isn't it?
Are
you thinking of Loot Crate?
No, I loot boxes.
Are you thinking?
Yeah,
specifically, I mean Star Wars Battlefront 2 loot boxes.
Okay, in-game loot boxes.
Yeah, not like real life. You're thinking of Loot Crate, which is the service that delivers cool swag to you every month. No, not that. No, wrong kind of loot. Those are the good loot boxes.
I'm thinking of a few types of loot boxes, but do you mean the paid-for loot boxes?
Yes, I do.
Yes.
Specifically the ones in Star Wars Battlefront 2.
Yeah. Oh, for God's sake. Was it you that was actually telling me about it? Because I remember speaking to someone about it.
It might have been. I don't remember.
Yeah, though the Star Wars. Actually, it was you, but that sounds freaking horrible. The pay to win.
No, it was me because I remember telling you the time. Yeah.
Yeah, the pay to win system that they're so obviously bringing in here. Oh, that's just.
So interestingly, I've never seen any like group of countries band together saying so quickly on saying. Some of the states have come out. Germany came out banning loot boxes entirely, claiming that they referred to Star Wars Battlefront 2 as a digital casino that wait, I need to get the exact quote. It was so good. Germany loot box. I want to see what they said. Because it was... Hang on. It was like the funniest loot box Star Wars. This is the level of preparation we have going into this. Oh yeah, Belgium is moving to ban them entirely.
Good.
Where was it? Oh, and... Oh, this is less good. Loot boxes do not meet the legal definition of gambling according to the UK Commission. Just as a side note. I found that out just now.
Yeah. Well, because they were actually talking about that because suddenly this is all come into question, what is gambling and like can some of these stuff in games be considered gambling? They've actually said that possibly this could be the last FIFA with Ultimate Team packs in some whether it's worldwide or in some countries, which would if you're paying for it, like for the whole FIFA point system is screwed, and suddenly we're going to be paying like 60-70 quid at least for FIFA to make up EA's money.
I think that's slightly different though, in the sense that because you can buy individual players with points, like you can either buy a pack or you can buy an individual player, and
but that's with coins that you buy the players. With the FIFA points, you can only buy packs.
Yeah, but they'll probably get rid of points. What they'll probably do is they'll just take a larger
charge more.
They'll probably just take a larger chunk of coins, because they currently take, what is it, like 5%, call it. So they'll probably just end up taking like 15% for every transaction or something instead. But yeah, here I found the quote. The Belgian Commission weighed in, referred to loot boxes as gambling, the mixing of money and addiction in gaming. It will require time because we need to go to Europe with this. We will absolutely try to forbid it. And my favourite line is, this game is a Star Wars themed online casino designed to lure kids into spending money.
Yeah.
Which is just, that is like such a great line.
Wait, what is the minimum age of Star Wars Battlefront anyway?
I think it's rated as a 16.
Because some of the games that have this in are, you can only play it over 18 anyway, so it wouldn't matter.
Yeah, if it was 18 rated, then fair enough.
But the rating pending on that one. Okay.
Let me look on Wiki. Wiki.
16, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, there we go.
It takes a lot for a game to be rated 18 in the UK.
So,
you'd be surprised.
Yeah, and also, but the thing is, that does raise the question. They're using the word kids for Star Wars Battlefront.
Technically under 18s are kids, right? So technically they're not wrong.
What country was it for that?
This was Belgium.
What are Belgian? Don't know.
Also 18. I checked.
Okay.
And I think the US said basically the same thing as well. Yeah, the Hawaii state official referred to EA as predatory, and even said it's a trap, like referencing Star Wars. He in his speech he said, we are here today to ensure future protections for kids, youth, and everyone when it comes to the spread of predatory practices in online gaming and the significant financial consequences it can have and has been having on families around this nation.
Yeah.
There's definitely a limit though, right? I feel like there's some level of pay to win, I understand. In the sense that, hear me out, if it's Rocket League, for example, right? Rocket League cost 15 quid. All the purchases in that game are aesthetic, right? More or less.
Yeah. Yeah, because you either get like, cause most of the new cars don't really make a major difference, so yeah.
Right. So imagine that kind of thing, or something like Warframe, right? That game is free to play, but it has in-game purchases.
Which is how they make their money.
Which is how they make their money. It's a very different structure. what I feel like EA tried to do with Battlefront 2 is they tried to double dip, right? They charged full price for the game, and then they also put in microtransactions.
Yeah. See, the problem is when they're doing this, as you say, full price as a full AAA title price. Was it like 40, 50 quid?
60.
60. So even worse than most games. I mean, FIFA cost me like 50, 55 quid. I think I got it actually cheaper than it was meant to be. It's meant to be 60 as well. You can't charge so much money for a game, because that's a lot of money. I mean, a lot of the people buying these games.
Oh,
if, like,
wait,
my
sorry,
age, that's a lot of hours.
I was wrong. It's £55 for the regular version, 70 for the deluxe version. All that gets you is a couple of the unlocks, actually.
But it's like you can't charge so much money for it, then ask people to, or to expect people then to pay to win. In Rocket League, of course, it doesn't really affect your gameplay. There isn't really anything they could do to make it a pay-to-win game anyway. But even,
unless they put in like a really OP car.
Yeah, but the thing is,
Right.
like, unless it was like faster, it was easier to move around or whatever, then it probably wouldn't matter.
Yeah.
But the thing is, they do only charge, and all they've ever charged is between £10 to £20 really for the game. It may have peaked over than that, but that's basically where it's always been. So they've got to make a bit more money somewhere. But EA, they do it on so many games. They charge full AAA prices.
They started with Dead Space. Dead Space 3 had a bunch of again, loot box kind of stuff. It wasn't loot boxes. You were like buying guns in the game with real money, like upgrades and stuff. But it's a similar idea. And Boogie2988, one of my favorite YouTubers, he is one of the fathers of YouTube. I refer to him, right? One of the guys who, he's not even OG, but like PewDiePie and I don't know, Syndicate. They're kind of young, hip YouTubers, right? They're of the moment a lot of the time. Whereas Boogie2988, Woody's Gamertag, Philip DeFranco, like these kinds of people are more like, they're a bit more like consistent in the sense that like, Philip DeFranco does like news videos, and they've been around for a lot. Oh God, no, not anyone but Keemstar. Anyone but Keemstar. But he was saying that if you're a company like EA and you can't take Star Wars and a developer team and you still can't make money without putting in these microtransactions, you shouldn't be a company that exists. Like, you shouldn't be making games. You just suck at your job at that point.
I think the problem is they want the maximum money they can, and they're just too greedy with it, and the problem is if the microtransactions get banned, we're going to start to see FIFA releases that are £70 or £80 at a minimum, just to make so they can get their money still.
I think the price of games is going up at some point in the next couple of years. I think we're kind of due that, right? Because
I don't know, it's went up over it used to be £40 or like £30-40 was the standard release price.
They tend to go up every like 10-ish years, like 5 to 10 years, right? Because if you go really far back, games used to be like £5-10. They've been around that like 50-60 mark-ish for quite a while.
It's only been for about 3 or 4 years, because I'm pretty sure it only cost me £40 for FIFA 14. So 4 years ago. Then.
So, I think we're moving to... But we are nearing a point where it will like jump a bit more. I think it will jump to about £80. And I think for AAA titles... Not necessarily FIFA, but there are a couple of AAA titles I see myself potentially paying that for, like GTA, for example. If that was £80, I'd kind of understand.
And with games like that, though, they put years into the making of it.
Oh yeah, GTA 5 was in work for like 8 years.
Yeah, and even once you've finished the usually massive campaigns, then you have an unlimited amount of multiplayer after that. They add extra maps and add-ons that other people can make as well. So it's something that you actually get the hours out of that money. But FIFA is around for a year, then they get your money with another FIFA, and at most they add in some extra cards in Ultimate Team, and they update a few players overalls. There isn't apart from actually the one time they've actually added a major thing to the game that isn't just a game fix or whatever, was when they did the World Cup Ultimate Team in FIFA 14.
That was so good.
That was such
actually,
a good.
on a
I'm surprised
note,
they didn't charge, to be honest.
That was so great.
I mean,
I remember that.
I think the only reason they didn't charge is they probably realised how much microtransactions they can get, and they didn't really change the game too much to do it. So
because I guarantee you, from their point of view, they already had all the players, right? They already have all the models.
They just had to
of
make a new card design.
It's a matter of
menus.
new card design.
The game
and
mechanics
menus.
were the same, so
For them, but I guarantee you that was probably like a month's work, if that.
yeah,
Like, it
for a
wasn't
few
exactly
guys, kind of thing.
Yeah. It was a back burner project that they decided, you know what, screw it, let's make it happen.
Mm.
On the subject of making it happen, I'm going to make the end of this podcast happen. Paul, thanks for coming on. It was great. It was pre-recorded, which means it was different. We're in ultra high quality. Look at us go. However,
horrible, probably.
as always, if people want to know where to find you, where's the best place to go?
The best place to go is snpy.tech/Paul. You'll find my Twitter there, and I do post interesting shit occasionally on there. And actually,
Only occasionally?
yeah, once a year. But I do have a sponsor today.
Yes. Oh, I forgot about this.
So
go on, tell us about your sponsor.
as people know, I had a big order of Skittles come in earlier in the week.
Oh yeah, you did
so
as well.
I got in contact with the company, and it turns out they're going into the market of sweets that make you poo. So they've renamed it.
Oh
to
no. That is so bad. Don't say it out loud, or I will murder you. If you want to see what it is, go to the YouTube. You can probably tell. If not, if the joke evades you, go to the YouTube version. Skip to whatever it is, 1 hour 12 minutes into the thing. Near the end of the podcast, you'll see the joke.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna go with it. Then I kind of realised how you would react, and that would just make it so much better for me.
No, if you want to see it, go to the video version. It's near the end. You will. Paul, thank you for being on. It's been great having you. If you do like this podcast, hit like. If you don't, that's a bit rude. You were here for like an hour and a quarter. So if you want to find out more, we are changing our time. This is the last time I'll tell you before we do it. As of next week, it will be 6 p.m. GMT. It is a couple of hours earlier. For me, it's a couple of hours later. It might be 5 p.m. GMT. I'm not certain yet, but for the time being, it's probably going to be. It will almost certainly be 6. Follow me on Twitter, snpy.tech/Twitter, to make sure you're up to date on that. /Facebook for Facebook. If you want to listen to the audio version, it's available at snpy.tech/podcast, or if you have an Apple device, then use /iTunes to get it on iTunes.
Or go to Google Play Store or buy an Android device.
Yes, all that works too. Highly recommended, in fact. But yeah, thank you for listening. Hope you had as much fun listening as we did filming it. It was a good episode of the podcast. I feel we had some nice conversation, even if Waterloo Road isn't technically tech.
That was a good conversation. Yes,
it is good enough for me.
They
there
used
was a
tech
guy
to film it.
Yeah, there were cameras involved, probably a couple of computers for editing with, and then some form of publishing software. So there we are. Thank you for joining us. We will see you next week when we will be live, unlike this time when we aren't live. However, next week we'll be going, so make sure to go to snpy.tech/live to join the conversation on YouTube and on Twitch, twitch.tv/Snappy-Tech. If you didn't see our 6-hour live stream, go and watch that. I'm currently working on, and I was going to mention this to Paul, but I think I mentioned it over Facebook or something, but I am working on a highlights reel. It will be about 10 minutes long. That's the plan. It's a 6-hour episode we streamed. So there's a lot of condensing to be done. However, once that's done, it will be up probably in the next couple of weeks. I'll mention it on the podcast once that's up. Thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you next time. Bye.